Greetings, and welcome to this week's Real Talk with ZSJ. I am your host, Sister Zakia here, and I know we are much earlier today. We usually start at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but today we are having to go a little early because my husband planned a date night for us. So shout out to my guests for being able to accommodate this earlier time. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. Come on in, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, and you're going to want to share this broadcast because you're going to get a totally different but accurate perspective that you won't get in mainstream media as it relates to this ongoing loop in the media about Russia and Ukraine and all of the things in between. So again, welcome. We want to encourage people who are watching on Facebook or Twitter. Be sure to go over to Rumble as a platform and subscribe to Real Talk with ZSJ on there. Also, share this broadcast. We want to invite people into this conversation. We hope that you all will ask plenty of questions. And then finally, before I allow my guest to introduce himself, let us know in the chat where you're watching from, what city and state. And if you're watching from another country, tell us what country you guys are joining us from, right? Ike, welcome to Real Talk. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on your platform. I'm a fan of yours. I've been following you for a long time. I love your passion. I love what you do. I love your dedication to the work, trying to free the minds of our people, open the eyes of our people. I do appreciate you. So my name is Ike Ugwu, and it's a pleasure to be with you on this platform today.
Yeah, awesome. And so tell us, I guess, a little bit more about like your passion, the kind of things that you research, and what got you into going down the rabbit hole, so to speak.
Right. They say once your eyes is open, you can never go back anymore.
Right.
I think I began to have interest in deep research, understanding how geopolitics work, international banking, understanding where the future is going. When I first came to the United States a few years ago, and I was able to have access to research material,
Mm-hmm.
because one thing you guys have here is a lot of access to information,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of research materials, libraries, books available. So I was able
Right.
to gain access to all this information. And then it's like my eyes opened. I was following a lot of African American researchers like Dr. Benyakanan, like
Yes.
Dr. Amos Wilson, Ivor Van Setima, a whole host of them. So, and then it's like, so there are other realities that I've never experienced when I was in Africa. So
Mm-hmm.
this was the beginning for me. This was like a mind opener to me. And then since then, I've never stopped. You know, I have interest
Yeah.
in AI, technology, researching the secret societies, who controls the world, how the human population is being manipulated using the media, using all kinds of mind control. So these are the kind of things that I'm interested in.
Yeah. And shout out to your platform because you also have a platform. We'd love to let people know where to follow you and where to find you. But I watched your video a couple of days ago now that you released about this issue with Russia and Ukraine, and you sort of broke down what we're not hearing in the mainstream media. And I was like, wow, I said other people really need to hear that. So I reached out to you and I was like, hey, would you mind coming on my platform? I have a decent following. And I was like, because I know people, are like, man, we're just being inundated every day about, what's going on and all of this stuff. So tell me sort of, I guess, what was the impetus, if you will, for you to drop that video and then share a little bit here about some of the topics that you cover.
Right. I think what led me to make that movie is I've been looking at Anglo-European establishment for quite a long time. The domination of the whole planet by Anglo-European forces, economically, politically, militarily, technologically, culturally. And then I started looking into the issue of transatlantism. That even what we call Plato emerged from the idea of transatlantism. And the transatlantic alliance is this bilateral, unilateral, multilateral relationship between the European countries and on the one hand, and then America, North America, and Canada on the other hand. Since the 1930s, there has been this symbiosis relationship between these countries, trying to maintain not the European culture, the European political establishment as superior to the rest of mankind. So, and then I began to also explore what is going on in Russia, and I found out that what is going on between Russia and Ukraine is a case of the Anglo-European establishment manipulating this very beautiful country literally into destruction by trying to make Ukraine be part of NATO, right? And which, of course, Russia is objecting to that very strongly.
It's interesting too because somebody said in the comments earlier, we've been seeing a lot of images about Ukraine and their racism and, about some Nazis and far right people. Can you kind of unpack? Because I guess I was a little surprised to learn that, the president of the Ukraine is Jewish, but a lot of the people, I guess, that are in the military there are also a part of some kind of really extreme right wing, or is this all U.S. propaganda? Just can you break that down a little bit?
Right,
And
that
some
is
of the sources you use to come up with your analysis?
absolutely propagandistic. Very propaganda. That is what they are pushing, and they're using the mainstream media. Of course, we know that the mainstream media, if your eyes is open, you understand that the mainstream media is nothing but a platform for reconditioning the minds of the people. So all these things we're seeing in the mainstream media is nothing but mind control techniques, trying to awaken the global population's humanitarian impulse, because probably they think that by mass humanitarian sympathy towards this country, maybe Russia somehow will relent in its position. But we see that that is not actually what is going on. So most
Can
of
you
the
unpack the mind control? Tell us what made you think it was mind control, and maybe lay out a little bit of where you got the source of where you got that material.
okay, both the United States government and Russian government, as far back as 1920s, have been engaging in mind control technology, developing different methodologies of making sure that the masses are kept in place. And one of the means of mind control is something called Project Mockingbird or Operation Mockingbird, which is a US government's method of using the media, right, to engineer the minds of the people so that they will to promote their agenda, to propagate their agenda. So most of the people you see in the mainstream media, newscasters, don't be surprised, most of them are working for CIA. So whatever they are feeding you in, they are
I
promoting.
heard that Anderson Cooper actually
He
interned
was
at the
interned
CIA.
for CIA. Exactly, he interned for CIA, and there are multiple other people who work for CIA, both in the liberal and the conservative wings of medias. They're all part of this huge system. Their goal is to make sure that the masses are brought in to support whatever the cryptocratic elite are promoting or pushing forward. So most of the academic publication, even in universities and colleges, books being published, medical information being promoted to the masses, deal with this Project Mockingbird, just making sure that you and I, everybody, aligns to the agenda of the cryptocrat. For example, you see, during the Iraq War, people have forgotten because the population seems to have very short memory, right? People have forgotten how they use the media, Project Mockingbird, of course, to convince everybody, majority of the people on the planet, that Iraq was evil. Saddam Hussein was Satan, right? They needed to get rid of him to make the world better, right? But the goal actually was to these Anglo-European establishments to monopolize and to control Iraqi oil and also Iraqi National Bank. And that is what they did. The same thing is what they did during the war in Syria, right? They convinced you that the Syrian president was evil. He was repressive against his people. And guess what? The cryptocratic elite went there, destabilized this country, destroyed the whole country in order to hijack the country and control their national bank. Libya, what happened in Libya? They convinced all of us that Muammar Gaddafi was evil, right? The reason was because Gaddafi
Muammar was actually trying to unite Africa.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
He's been working on that for a long time, and they've been targeting him for a very long time. He was a strong man, right? He has his own problem, but he was not a problem in his country. But the establishment, the cryptocratic elite, went in there, right, and destroyed the country because Gaddafi was thinking of removing the whole African country from the European economic domination, right? So they got rid of him. Now the country is a disaster. So the same agenda we've seen popping up over and over using media to manipulate the mind of the masses. And guess what? It works sometimes because the masses of people are buying into it, right? If you check some of the countries that are in the black book of the Western elite, right? Iran, Iraq, Cuba, Syria, Libya, North Korea. These are few countries whose national bank has not been taken over by the Anglo-European establishment. So when they are promoting all this information, trying to convince us that these leaders are evil, they are horrible, they're Satan, in fact, it's the other way around. Because some of these people, what they do is invert reality. They make you see good as evil and then evil as good. And I'm not saying that these countries are innocent. Of course, every country has a problem. There's no country that doesn't repress people in one form or the other. Even the United States, of course, it has beautiful democracy, but if you check the history, of course, black people have history of being repressed by the system. So the idea that these countries are evil is absolute garbage. And that is what is happening in Ukraine. In fact, if people understand what is happening in Ukraine, we see that Russia is actually fighting a good fight. I know I'm getting on people's nerves by saying
Okay,
this.
no, you got to explain that. I'm serious.
Right.
Let's really methodically break
Right.
down that statement because you're right. People have been socialized to see Russia as the enemy, and it's really fascinating to watch, Ike, because I do remember the Iraq War, and I
Right.
also remember, the subsequent war after 9/11. And
Right.
I remember how Muslim populations, were disproportionately impacted, and even Sikhs, anybody that looked like, who the media said was the enemy, they were being harmed in real time. Just regular people were being harmed. And now we're seeing where, obviously white people just kind of like they fit in. All of them look white. You can't really tell who they are ethnically. Right. But I'm seeing some similar things happening with white people who may be Russian. They may not even tell you that they're Russian because where I live at now, they pulled all the Russian vodka off the shelves. I mean, it's just, all this virtue signaling. And I'm thinking to myself, since when is the United States any type of, like who does the United States think they are, the way they treat black people and indigenous people here? So my whole thing is, please unpack what you mean when you say Russia is actually fighting a good fight, because I would imagine some people will see that as blasphemous.
Exactly. That is what I say. Many people will be like, I'm getting on a lot of nerves by just saying this. And I understand the sentiment. We see in the 1987, President Ronald Reagan made this declarative command to the then leader of the Russian the Federation of Russia by the name Mikhail Gorbachev. He said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. So a lot of people are assuming that this declarative statement by Reagan was the final dismantling of the communist Russia. In 1990, the early 1990, we see that officially the Soviet Union dismantled, disintegrated. But after that, the Western elite, the transatlantic Western elite, made a conscious choice. The CIA, the Pentagon made a conscious choice that they will bring Russia totally to absolute nothingness. They've been working on that agenda for a very long time, right? So the formation of organizations like the Round Table, which was formed by the Rothschild, the Trilateral Commissions, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, all these agencies been working secretly to make sure that Russia is completely destroyed. And not just because they want to destroy Russia.
Yeah, why do they want to destroy Russia? Is it
Because of power consolidation. The NATO is a military wing, a military elite of the Anglo-European establishment. So they want to destroy Russia because they see Russia as a potential threat to the expansionist philosophy of the Anglo-European establishment. So it's trying to remove a potential enemy. And Russia, of course, is aware of that. You're dealing with Putin. Putin has been a former KGB official, I think leader, former KGB.
Yeah, he's a leader of the KGB.
So he's not a guy with, pardon my word, soft testicle. He's a very strong man. And he understands how the world works, right? And he's putting up a good fight. I'm not in support of communism, but when it comes to what is going on right now, I don't support NATO either. NATO is consolidating global power for the emergence.
They're white supremacists. Is it safe to say that NATO is a white supremacist
organization? Absolutely. It is a white supremacist organization hiding under protecting democracy. Because that is the version of reality. I'm telling you that these people are very corrupt. You know, they're inverting reality. Once they consolidate power all over Europe, right, they're probably going to move to other parts of the world to consolidate power so that they will lead. And it's going to be a dictatorial form of leadership in the future. And many researchers needed to, if you find a book by John Coleman, The Committee of 300, read this book. It's very important in breaking down this.
What's the book title again?
The Committee of 300.
The Committee of 300.
Yes, the Committee of 300. Yes.
And who's the author?
John Coleman.
John Coleman.
Yes, John Coleman.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if our moderator can put a link to that in the chat for people.
Right. Another book very central in breaking down this Anglo-European domination is titled Full Spectrum Dominance. Full Spectrum Dominance by William Engdahl. Very good.
Full Spectrum Dominance.
Yes.
That's the title of the book.
The title of the book. Yes. Read this book. It breaks down what is happening right now in Russia.
Right now, it's full spread, and you can see it. These people want domination and control.
Absolutely. So Russia is actually fighting a good fight. I know people don't want to hear this, but Russia is trying to prevent the expansionist philosophy of these transatlantic propagators of transatlantism who want to dominate the world. They are not good people. They present themselves to be good people, right? But their philosophy is a world domination. NATO is a military fascist wing of the
Anglo-European. Definitely fascist.
Absolutely. Of the Anglo-European establishment. And that's what Russia is dealing with. They're doing everything possible to make sure that they gain control of the whole world. And as I said on my last podcast, Mr. Zelensky is under enormous mind control. He's being controlled by
Zelensky is the current president right now of the Ukraine. Family, this is good information. Y'all got to hit the like button and share this.
Yes.
We need our people to be aware of what's really happening.
Right.
Please like and share this video. Let's make sure that as many of our people as possible have access to this truth. Go ahead, Ike.
He is under manipulation by the same establishment, right? Because the push is to appropriate. They want to expand into Ukraine, not just because they want to use Ukraine as a proximity war with Russia, because once they dominate, once EU have access to Ukraine. Once NATO has access to Ukraine, it becomes a matter of proximity domination. Russia's existence is threatened as a nation. And remember, these people are coming to dismantle Russia, and Putin is aware of that. He's quite aware of that. So they are controlling him. I read the news yesterday in the Insider, where I think Zelensky is waking up to this manipulation because he said, now I am cooling down. I am not so in haste to join NATO anymore. I'm going to remain neutral. That is what he should have done initially, right? He will save his country by remaining neutral from NATO as well as Russia. This problem would not have, emerged. I don't think Russia will invade Ukraine if Ukraine decide to be neutral, right? But the problem is that I'm going to give an example. Could you imagine Russia and China combining their military force to come and colonize Canada? What do you think the U.S. will do?
The U.S. will fight like hell.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That is normal, right? Because that poses existential problem to the U.S. government. If the Chinese combine Chinese military force as well as Russian force comes to the backyard of the U.S. and dominates, they can use that as a strategic center for military planning, technological planning, right? To spy on you using technology. So this is what is going on, and Russia is aware of that.
Let's talk about, because you brought up Russia and China. Let's talk about that. So it seems that China has allied with Russia on this issue.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that relationship and its importance in pushing back on white domination and domination and control?
The relationship is very strong, and that is probably what is giving Russia a lot of strength. One of the Chinese official sent a message to Russia and say to Putin and say, we understand your security concerns, right? If a Chinese official, his name is, I think, Wang Yi.
He's their military or their army leader.
Yes, I forgot exactly. Like yes, but he sent sympathetic, like a message to Russia saying, we understand your security concern. Now, the economic bilateral relationship between Russia and China is quite strong, right? Very strong. I remember both of these countries were formerly under the communist kind of practice, communist philosophy. So they have this relationship, very strong alliance. And China also sees the West as a threat to her own expansionist ideologies. I know China has wide expansionist ideologies as well. They're expanding all over the place. In Africa, they're buying all lands all over the place. So it's quite strong, and the US will not risk war with Russia because that will change the power dynamic in the world. If you leave European countries alone, I don't think they will beat China and Russia. They won't, because these countries are kind of weak. That's why they manipulate the United States all the time to go and fight their war for them. And a lot of researchers will tell you that even World War II, we talk of Pearl Harbor, with the Japanese attacking US Navy ship, that actually it was a bait. They baited Japanese soldiers, intelligence, to attack Pearl Harbor so that it would give them access to go into war in Europe, And it was after World War II that, US actually emerged strong as a global superpower. Prior to that, it was Britain was always in domination of the planet. Then after World War II, Europe was devastated psychologically, economically, militarily, and then the US emerged as a global power and has been in charge all this while.
This is some really explosive stuff you're sharing. So I guess tell us, because I'm sure people who are watching are probably like, all right, we sitting in the belly of the beast here in Babylon. We're here in America. Right. What is it that regular citizens can do besides shutting the TV off? Number one, what is it that regular citizens can do? And also, what does this mean for the entire continent of Africa? If we have a shift from global white dominance and control, does it mean we will then have domination and control by China and Russia?
Absolutely. And
What is the
I have
perspective from an
not
African point of view?
Russia does not have expansionist idea into Africa. They have more of a philosophical expansion into Africa, even during communism. But China has more of a subtle, subliminal aggression. China is buying up landed properties, lending monies to African leaders, and some of these African leaders are just taking this money. So currently, as we say, as we talk, China owes Africa technologically, militarily. They are forcing Africa,
Hold
Chinese.
that thought really quickly. This comment
So
is interesting by this person. If you could take a look at that, do you know if there's any truth to this? This is a very interesting comment. I don't know how true it is, but I just wanted you to hold that thought and respond to this.
yes, Putin is opposing new world order actually.
I didn't know that.
And that's what I say. The cryptocratic elites, the Anglo-European establishment, they like to invert reality. They make Putin evil, and the
Uh-huh.
masses of the world has come to accept that. But actually, it's the other way around because NATO is an expansionist, world expansionist military elitism that wants to dominate the world. So that is what Putin is fighting. If Putin doesn't fight and they monopolize Eurasia or European country into one alliance, where are they going to move next?
Right.
Probably Africa. They'll begin to consolidate international power all over the world, and they are going to sit at the helm of affairs of these organizations to control the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And George Soros, I think the comment is no longer there. He spoke about George Soros. George Soros is a puppet of the Rothschild, right? He's been working, sponsoring these revolutions all over the world, even in Africa, even in North America. Even some of the revolutions, agitations happening here in the United States from black people, because they understand that the black people in America has historical grievance, and they are exploiting that, right, for their own nefarious agenda.
Wow.
Right? Right? It's been going on for a very long time. So George Soros is actually a puppet of the Rothschild. He's been doing this for a very long time. This petty communist revolution here and there has been sponsoring them. Even the Arab, what they call the Arab Revolution, his handprint is there in promoting the Arab Revolution a few years ago.
Yeah.
Right? They know what they are pushing for.
Wow. And he also mentioned Klaus Schwab. He's the founder of the World Economic Forum.
Absolutely. And I ask people to pay attention to his book in
The
the
Great
midst of
Reset.
the Great Reset, COVID-19, the Great Reset, because people don't pay attention. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that these cryptic elites want to do without, in one form or the other, notifying the masses. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know why they do it. Maybe it's some kind of cosmic force forcing them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
In the midst of pandemic, the world was struggling, 2 years shut down. This guy came up with a book titled COVID-19, The Great Reset. And he marshaled out the blueprint for the future, where the
Mm-hmm.
future is going technologically, militarily, economically. I wish people should go and buy that book and pay attention because they told you already that is the blueprint of the future. It's going to be a future of technocratic control, of
Yeah, it's
military control.
techno-fascism.
Technofascism is right here on our doorstep, and we are sleeping. So
You're right here.
we have to wake up to all these things because these are psychopaths. These are
They are
psychopaths.
psychopaths.
They're
Absolutely.
psychopaths. They're not like you and I. They don't have sympathy. They don't care. They will destroy the entire planet in order to just forward their agenda. They don't care about human life or people are dying. That is not their concern. Their concern is a global monopoly,
Right.
a global domination, a global rulership to imprison the earth for their own nefarious agenda. And we all have to be aware of this. They always invert reality. So when they ask you to go right, always know that you have to go left.
Go left.
When they ask you to go forward, go backward because they invert
Do the
reality.
opposite of what
Do
they're
the
saying.
opposite, yes. When you hear the news that Russia is evil, know that Russia is doing something good. Exactly. So
Right.
that is their methodology of rulership. one of the puppet of the Rothschild again. His name is Cecil Rhodes.
Cecil Rhodes, yeah.
Cecil Rhodes. Yeah, from his name that you get
The
Zimbabwe
Rhodes
used to be,
Scholarship.
yes, Zimbabwe used to be called Rhodesia. So it was from
Wow.
his last name that you get Rhodesia before they changed it. So he has been pushing again for a global world domination. He is very central in forming what you call the Royal Institute of International Affairs. He's very
Wow.
central in forming that. He's been working for the Rothschild before he died for many, many years. And they are pushing for this thing called Atlantic Union. Atlantic Union, if you look into history, this organization has been strong in the United States back in the days, but now they are subliminal. The goal of the Atlantic Union is to consolidate all global power for one world government.
Wow.
For one world government. And back in 1949 until up to 1975, in the US floor, the US Congress, agents of this um, movement were campaigning to dissolve the Constitution of the United States, to dissolve the Declaration of Independence in order to push United States back into European alliance. It is these
Wow.
same people that have formed what you call NATO. The same people, just different names. You know, when it seems that they are being discovered, they change to a different name, but it's the same pattern, the same group of people, the same secret
Right.
societies working to undermine literally everybody. They are all over the place, even in Africa. They are all over the place. And I used to tell Africans that what we call OAU, Organization of African Unity, in those
That's
days,
Malcolm X organization.
yes, but it was CIA that founded it.
Oh, wow.
CIA founded it secretly. Why did
Wow.
CIA find this organization? Because
Oh no,
Kwame,
that's not the one Malcolm founded then. His was I thought it was the Organization of Afro-American Unity. After
probably,
he came back.
yeah,
But you're
probably.
talking about something else. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
talking
mean to
about,
cut you off. Keep going.
yeah, today we call it OAU.
The
So
OAU, yeah.
when Kwame Nkrumah emerged as a leader in Africa, he was a shining star. He was brilliant. He was intelligent. Kwame Nkrumah was smart, and they saw him as a threat. So Kwame Nkrumah began to consolidate regional power to protect Africa from European imperialist exploitation. That became a threat to the Western elite. Kwame
Mm-hmm.
Nkrumah aligned with Modibo Keita, President Modibo Keita of Mali, as well as Sekou Touré of Guinea or Guinea-Bissau. And
Yes.
they formed something called the Casablanca Group, right? So following that, the CIA feared that Nkrumah was expanding the philosophy of one Africa, one unity was
Pan-Africanism, yeah.
the Pan-Africanism was expanding. So the CIA and Western elite formed something called they called the Monrovian Group. They used the lackey like William Tubman of Liberia. You know, Liberia has always been the puppet of US.
Always. The US founded
Always.
Liberia, yeah.
Exactly. US founded Liberia. So they used William Tubman, gave him a lot of money, with CIA supporting him, Western intelligence are supporting him. They formed something they call the Monrovia Group to counter Nkrumah's movement.
Wow.
Right? So it was out of the Monrovia Group that OAU emerged in 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. So that was the hallmark of CIA. CIA was the one who founded it. So I surprised to see African leaders going to
And
OAU.
where did you read that? What source?
I
Why don't you show a couple of the
multiple
books you
sources. I
brought?
wish I have. I wish I have. I mean, I check my library. I know I have a book. Probably I will. I don't maybe send it to you later on. You know, but I know there's a particular. I don't remember the author,
Got
but
it.
I think I can fish out the book in a few minutes.
You have several books there with you now.
I
Why
have
don't you
several
hold
books.
them up
Yeah.
and share with the audience things that they can
Read this
go?
book. It's very important by an American,
Oh yeah,
Howard Zinn,
yeah.
a
Howard Zinn is amazing. Yeah,
very good researcher. A
yeah. I
people's
have that one,
history
A People's History of the United
of the
States.
United States, yes. Read this book again. It's very important to understand the Anglo-European establishment, the secret societies, the one-world agenda they are pushing. It's written by Carol Quigley. He's such a brilliant author, such a brilliant writer. So if you have a copy of this book, study it very well because it will help to understand the world. When China Rules the World, When China Rules the World by Martin Jack. When China Ruled the World. It's a very good book also. It breaks down the emerging power of China and the struggle, this dialectical struggle between the East and the West. American Theocracy by Kevin Phillips. Understand the evolution of religion, this right-wing Christian movement that, trying to integrate this Christian movement, this end-time millennialism into the political system. I think it's very important in understanding that as well. This book, Superior, broke down eugenics, white racism, and just the whole idea of Black inferiority and white superiority. Very, very good book, very good researched book.
Show the author?
The author is Angela Saini. I don't know if I'm saying the last name good. Angela Saini. I think everyone should have this book.
And this about eugenics, because that's also a feature of this NWO is to around transhumanism. Do you want to maybe go into that a little bit? Because you've also done some videos on that. Is that the last book? I want to allow you to finish on the books.
I think that's this book is also very good.
Oh no, hold on. Let me make it big again. You gotta show that one.
Right.
Here it is.
Illuminati Agenda 21. Everybody should understand Illuminati Agenda 21. If you understand Agenda 21, you will understand what is going on currently in the world. It's an agenda, it's a movement by the elite, right, to consolidate power for world control. And this also deals with the coming of AI and the age of singularity. Very important book.
Yeah, I had a brother on last week, and he talked about that. I think he's coming back on again next week. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Okay, transhumanist agenda is a real agenda. As we move forward to the future, pay attention to, you're going to be hearing transgenetic, transspeciation or transspecies, transbiology.
All eugenics.
All of them involve both eugenics and transhumanism.
Right.
Right? You're going to be hearing trans this, trans that is part of that movement towards the elimination or removing humans or modifying humans, what they call terraformation. These are all one agenda to replace humans. Gradually, it's already happening. You're going to be hearing smart this, smart watch, smart house, smart cars, smart people very soon because they already augmenting people with technology, inserting electrodes into people, doing all kinds of modification to change people. These are, as I say, they are soulless psychopaths. The agenda is to invert this world, to change the world from natural order of prime creator, right, or original creator, into the Luciferian matrix, into an artificial matrix. And they are succeeding. They are succeeding in doing that.
This is sick, man.
It's sick because people who have soul, humans with soul, are sleeping. Sometimes when they develop this technology, they will try to convince us it's for medical purposes. It's for medical purposes. And then we buy into it. And then they further their next agenda. Gradually, if we don't wake up, if we don't protest, if we don't all wake up, we will be replaced. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. They will modify humans and they will replace humans. In the near future, you're not going to have driverless cars. The aeroplanes of the future.
Yeah, I saw that. The drive
is already there. It's already there.
Yeah, Tesla. Elon Musk has the self-driving car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
nuts.
That is the future they are dreaming, and the future, satanic future, the demonic evil future they are actually propagating.
So what can we do, right? What can be done for us to push back on some of this? It's just nuts to even think about. But what can people do?
Is to not to buy into the philosophy of materialism they are promoting. And by materialism, I don't just mean consuming things. It's part of it, but I'm thinking of the philosophy, the idea that life is only material, right? We have to understand that we are transcendental beings. We have souls, and we transcend this physical dimension. They are
Hmm.
not. Psychopaths are called organic portals.
Right.
Organic portals are conduits in which certain interdimensional entities or demonic beings, if you call fallen angels, manifest their frequency within the third density reality. We live in the third density reality. And everybody who is walking, who is speaking, who goes to school with you might not be fully human. This is one of the most
Wow.
greatest secret hidden from the world.
Wow.
If you read the gospel, you see that there's a place where Jesus spoke about um, the wheat and the tar, right? The
Hmm.
parable of the wheat and the tar. The tars are this organic portal that inhabit this planet with us. Their only goal is to distract real souled human beings. That's their only goal. They cause war, they cause all kinds of traumas. They feed off of your energies. Your
Hmm.
energy provide them with existence because outside of you feeding off of your soul energy, they have no existence, right? To exist means that you are connected to be alive, and to have life means that you are connected to the prime creator. They are not connected to the prime creator. They are connected to us. So our
Hmm.
soul provide them, they're feeding off of us. We're like food to them. They
Hmm.
exploit your resources, they exploit your life, they exploit your work. That is why you see everybody's working for them. You're called worker. That's what everybody is. You're a worker for them, right? They see the population as consumers, workers, as sheep, cattle, or goyim, the cattle, sheep. That's how they view you. So we're not the same with these people. There's a book on this. I think I don't remember the book.
You
The
a
name.
well-read brother. You always got a book we can check out.
Right,
I tell you, you done
right,
gave away about 15 books just since the beginning.
right. The book. The writer is the last name is a. I don't remember. I don't remember, to be frank with you. I don't remember the name. But he broke down this information quite well.
Hmm.
That we live on this planet with organic portals. They're conduits. They're empty vessels. They're walkings. There's a duality. We live in this cosmic arena of duality, good, evil, good
Hmm.
frequency, bad frequency. And there are
Right.
people who have soul, and there are soulless ones. Soulless ones rule over you. Call them the
Right.
bloodline, call them the Satanists, call them the Luciferians, call them um, children of the fallen angels. They are the ones who control the population on this planet.
Hmm.
They don't feel as you do. They can't feel. They can try to mimic humans, but they can't feel. That is why you can see people dropping atomic bomb. Is soul cannot. People who have soul can't do that. We cannot do that. You got to be
Right.
possessed. You got to be a walk into drum bomb and exterminate a whole city.
Right.
You have to be empty vessel or organic portal to do that, right?
Wow.
So we're not all the same, and this is
Right.
one of the greatest secret hidden from. Is an esoteric secret hidden from the world. You know.
That's one of the things the brother I had on last week, Siddiqui, I think he's coming back on next week as well, is that he actually from his perspective, he does not think that they'll reach singularity. He doesn't believe that they will be, because something that is innately human is
Hmm.
is like you said, is consciousness, is your
Right.
soul. You
Right.
can't create that, recreate that,
Right.
but that's what
Right.
they are trying to do. They're trying
Right.
to literally crack the code of life.
Right. Right.
And these mad scientists have been at it for many years, and they haven't been able to do it. And
Right.
Siddiqui believes that they will not be able to do it. And I think that that is a
Right.
good attitude to have.
Right.
Um, because you're right. These things are very, very much spiritual. It's a spiritual.
The war is in the psychic plane. The war is spiritual, even though we
It's in
see
the psychic
technology
plane.
talking about politics, but the war is in the other dimension we don't see. But the
Right.
problem is that we have majority of souls are asleep. Have you ever tried to speak to somebody about deep mysteries who is asleep? You know
Hmm.
how hard it is for them to see things from your own point of view. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
because of this, that is why they are gaining more ground. It seems they are succeeding. They might not succeed in terms because we don't know the order, we don't know the plan of the prime creator. But the
Right.
thing is that they want souls to be trapped in the virtual reality because, as I say, the reason they want us to be trapped here is because we provide food to them.
Right.
Without us, they don't exist.
That's right.
As long as they want to kill humans, they want to exterminate using genetics, using war, they cannot do without us because we
Right.
provide them the energy to exist, right? So they're still going to leave some people to hang in there, even though they're using population control to eliminate as much people as they can. So
Yeah.
you're dealing with God reality and the Lucifer matrix. So I used to say all the time that AI is the consciousness, the manifest consciousness of Lucifer. That's what it is. Artificial intelligence is a synthetic consciousness of Lucifer, very mechanical consciousness deprived of eternal life. That is what we're seeing manifesting.
Wow. Well, this has really been a power packed broadcast. Is there anything else that I didn't ask or didn't touch on that you want to touch on before we wrap up? This has been powerful, and the audience they've really been very engaged. And I also want to allow this as a time for the audience. If you guys are listening, please put your questions in the chat for Brother Ike here. What questions do you have for Brother Ike? We will wrap up probably in about 12 minutes, so we'll give you all some time to ask your questions. But Brother Ike, anything else you want to point out while we wait and see if we have any questions from the audience?
I'm just going to say, stay strong, raise up your vibration. Don't go with the flow. Don't go with the population. Don't go with the heads. To be awake means that you're going to see the world different. And if you are out of matrix, if you're trying to wake up, you don't go back to sleep because the system they are putting in place, the food you eat, the air you breathe, are all being colonized, are all weaponized against us. The weather are all weaponized against us. Um, um, if you check the food we eat today is full of monosodium glutamate, these brain
The
suppressant,
food, yes,
yeah,
terrible. Yeah.
neurotoxicity all over the place. They are using frequencies, beaming frequencies on the
Talk
population.
more about that. That's what I want to know more about. I'm so glad you brought that up. How really expound on this issue? How are the frequencies causing whatever it is? Oh, okay, better question. How are they using the frequencies, and how do we see them manifesting in our communities? Because I've heard people say that, and I'm like, well, what does it
Absolutely.
mean?
They can beam frequency on a particular group of people, on individuals to control your mind, to cause depression. There's evidence. There's evidence, research evidence that frequency, beaming certain frequency on people can cause you to be depressed, can cause violence in a community, right? Can cause misbehavior in a community. And you have to realize that we live in the world of quantum realm. And you see scientists talking about quantum entanglement, right? So we're all connected. We live in the ocean of waveforms and frequencies. And because of that, they've learned how to manipulate these invisible frequencies to both synchronize with our brain waves and our own frequencies. You are frequency, I am frequency. There's no density. And that is what even quantum physicists um, are telling us now, that what you see as physical density or individuation in the world, multiple things, you and I, we're all connected in the spiritual quantum realm. So
Mhm.
they have mastered. These are these are the masters of this planet. They've mastered these sciences and how to control these invisible frequencies and to project ideas and codes into this frequencies to conquer the mind, to control the mind, and also to control the body.
Do you think this idea of these frequencies and things like that, do you think that some of this is behind this, the media keeps talking about all this crime? Do you think some of this is behind the recent sort of uptick of violence in communities, particularly in our community?
Very, very likely, because as I said, there's evidence that you can use beam frequency on a particular population to change their behavior. The technology already exists to make people agitated, to make people depressed, to make people sleepless. This frequency, these technologies is futuristic technology. It already exists, right? So it's very possible, very, very possible. There's another book by, I think, Lawrence. It's called Where We Controlled.
Where We Control?
Where We Controlled, yes.
Wow.
It broke down how to use radio frequency, how, technology of using radio frequencies to control people, to engineer people, to create something they call sleeper agents.
Sleeper agents.
Sleeper agents, yes, all based on frequency. Because when we think of war, we're thinking of conventional war, shooting gun. This is outdated. This is old. It's old. The future is more of like a Star Wars kind of future.
Star Wars kind of future. Wow.
Yep, absolutely. So these are some of the things we have to be aware of if we want to maintain our future as a people.
Yeah.
As a people, we need to be aware of some of these things to resist as much as we can.
This is heavy. Shout out to Sister Marley for the super chat. Shout out to you, sister. She's the only one that's asked a question thus far. We want to allow more people. If you have questions for Brother Ike, put them in the chat. Again, huge shout out to my sister Marley K for the super chat. Her question is: does China support the New World Order? Are they also? I guess, if there's a version of the New World Order that they support. What's your thoughts on that question? That's
Absolutely.
a good question.
China is manipulated for a New World Order as well. Remember what you call communism. Communism was sponsored by the Rothschild. The emergence of communism was actually the Bolshevik Revolution. Was sponsored by Rothschild because they want to create something called the dialectic opposition. Western individualism versus Asian, Eastern collectivism.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and if you read the history of revolution in China, you see the Anglo-European establishment were very present there. There was a time when you have the nationalists in China fighting for democracy, and then communism under Mao Zedong. And Mao Zedong's movement won because there was secret, covert sponsorship by the Western elite. This is deep, right? So China also is being manipulated for the New World Order. Part of it is that the Asian culture naturally is collectivist. You can create mass workers who don't think, who are not individualistic. They're based on hive mind system. The Asian culture is more.
What does hive mind mean? You say that a lot.
Hive mind is group thinking.
Group thinking,
yeah. Where individuality disappears, and we think in terms of collective, like communistic thinking. You don't exist as an individual. You think in a group. That's hive mind, and that's what AI works with better. So China, to answer the question, China is also under manipulation by the same power that be. This power that be, these forces that be is strong. They rule the world. They run the world. It's only one agenda, one central universal dictatorship. That is the agenda. And beginning by regional consolidation of powers, European Union, NATO, African Union, in the end, they will all lead to one point: technocratic future of global population by small group of people.
This is depressing.
It could be. The rabbit hole is deep. It could be.
The rabbit hole is deep.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of this stuff is in books. It's is what you would call hidden in plain sight.
They are hidden in plain sight, and that is how they hide information. Because what you see in the media, remember, the media is controlled by six conglomerates:
Six
Viacom,
Viacom, yep,
CBS, Disney, News Corporation, um, Time Warner. I don't remember the rest too. These, so whether you watch Fox News or CNN, is under these six
same.
conglomerates
They own the same, yes,
on the
owned by
same
the same
platform.
people.
And these elites who control this, they go to meeting in California in a place called Sun Valley every year. The elite who run this, some of them, most of them are in the secret society, in the Freemason, they belong to Knight Templars. They go to meeting every year in California in a place called the Sun Valley to devise methodologies of controlling the world. You see? So whatever they tell us in the public, whatever they inundate us, is maybe 99% lies. Big lie, small
Big
truth.
lies, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And everything that Black people have been through in this country, we shouldn't trust them with a 10-foot pole.
At
Nothing
all.
they say.
At all. Look at Black Lives Matter. It seems legitimate, seems legit until you begin to look under.
You pull back the
You
curtain.
pull back the curtain, you see the same people are engineering revolution. What a false revolution, quasi revolution, pseudo revolution, because they
Yep.
are using the historical trauma of they're exploiting the historical trauma of Black people, using it for their own agenda. The Symbionist Liberation Army, remember back in the days, the Symbionist Liberation Army was CIA formation.
Yep.
It seems to
It
be
used to be called the Office of Strategic Services, the
absolutely.
CIA. Yeah, and then
Exactly.
it became the CIA. And I learned that
Yes.
from Dr. Bobby Wright, who
Right.
is an African American theorist and psychologist. Powerful
Right.
brother. Died in the
Yep.
early '80s, but his one book I encourage everybody to read.
What book is that?
The Psychopathic Personality. He talks
Okay.
about white
Okay.
people. Yeah, he
Okay.
explains the type of people that you're talking about in that book.
The OSS.
Dr. Bobby E. Wright, Bobby Eugene Wright, who
I,
was
will
a powerful Black thinker.
I will check him out.
He operated one of the only Black-owned mental health facilities in Chicago for years.
Uh-huh. I'll check him out. But you're right. The OSS gave birth to CIA.
Right, OSS. Yep.
Yeah, it was headed by Alan Dulles. Dulles. I don't know if I'm saying the name right.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are part of this movement towards global agenda. People who were working with Alan Dulles, who was the head of OSS, today we call it CIA, like Peter Warburg. Peter Warburg was also a great promoter of New World Order, and
Wow.
he is the right-hand person of Alan Dulles, who was the head of OSS back in the days, what you call
Mm-hmm.
as CIA. The same people covertly
Wow.
working to rule over us like animals for the rest of our life, and we have to put up resistance.
Yeah.
We have to resist.
Yeah. Well, let's try to end on a positive note. We want to encourage people not to feel down. This is heavy information because I know I struggle with that. You hear this kind of heavy information and access to all these books who have documented these things, veracity and truthfulness. But one of the things that I think about all the time in terms of being an African people is that these people have been trying literally for centuries to get rid of us. And clearly, we are a very, very spiritual and strong people because we're still here. After
Absolutely.
everything that they have devised, we're still
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely.
We're still here.
There's a book by. Sorry, I'm not interrupting you. A book by what's his name? A, a great white horse, a pale white horse by
Yeah, uh-huh.
William.
I've
What's
heard
his
about
name?
that too. The pale white horse. Yeah.
He says something, and I'm going to quote him. He said that what you call HIV was a biotechnological, a bioweapon against the
Bioweapon.
African
Yeah.
people in 1978. According to him, go and read his book. Don't blame me. He
Right.
said in 1978, the World Health Organization, through the agency called the International Agency for the Research on Cancer, went to Africa, start
Wow.
quote unquote smallpox vaccination. He said it was after that that HIV exploded all over
Yep.
Africa.
Yep.
Exploded. And then in New York, California, these big cities, they start experimenting with hepatitis B vaccination. After that, you see HIV. Initially in the US, was said to be gay problem, homosexual problem, right? It was a homosexual disease. But after that, again, 1978, 79, that HIV exploded all over the world. But from what William Cooper was saying, that it was a biological weapon to depopulate Africa. It was a part of Malthusian eugenic philosophy to
Wow.
depopulate the black people, and it worked effectively because how many millions of people died? Millions of Africans, you
Yep.
know. And why was it like, if you watch TV, it's all black disease. HIV
Right.
is a black disease,
Right. Right.
you know.
Right.
So it's part of the program. And we all have to stop listening to these agencies like World Health Organization. I know a lot of African intellectuals, that's where they get their information, you
Yeah.
know. World Health, UN, World Health Organization, and these agencies, these organizations are not good for you. It's a time
Right.
for us to start thinking, as a
Got to
people,
think critically.
critically, be independent of these
That's right.
nefarious global organizations. Begin to
That's
form
right.
our own think tanks, our own research organizations,
I completely agree.
right?
Yeah, yeah. We definitely got to put some more study in. Well, brother, this is good. We are at our hour and a little bit over. I appreciate you. Please tell people where they can find you. What social media platforms, how can people follow you? And also share your YouTube page, because people really need to be paying attention to when you drop a video. Share all of that with the audience now.
Okay, so far I have a YouTube page. I'm kind of relatively new. It's called Primordial Wave. Primordial Wave.
Primordial wave. What does
Yes,
primordial mean?
kind of ancient, kind of eternal, kind of um, infinite. Something from the
Infinite.
beginning. From the beginning.
Uh-huh.
Right, right. So that is the platform I am right now. So far,
You're on Rumble as
I'm
well,
a Rumble
Primordial
again.
Wave. So
Rumble.
Rumble and YouTube, people can go to Primordial Wave and subscribe to Primordial Wave on YouTube and Rumble. That is where you can find Brother Ike, and you're
Right.
also on Facebook. Are you on Twitter or Instagram?
I am, but I'm not as active because I'm a busy person too. So I do it like
Yeah,
when I
you're
have
not
some time.
active. Yeah.
I'm very busy, very busy. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. And so we'll see if Sister RM can. Oh, okay, Primordial. Let me.
Can I type here? Okay. Go ahead if you can.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. So
Okay.
Primordial Wave. So if you guys can just put that in the search over on YouTube, and put that in the search on Rumble, please subscribe to this brother. He drops some powerful, powerful information. Go back and watch the videos that he's already released. It's very powerful. He also gives sources like the books that he brought with him today, of where he's read this information, so that people cannot dismiss him as a quack or anything like that, because that's the first thing people do, will dismiss you when they hear.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, they'll dismiss you when they hear this information, because a part of it is cognitive dissonance. People don't want to
Right.
believe that this type of evil exists.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? That's hard on the soul
It
to
is.
admit that yeah, there's this type of evil in the world.
Right.
So we just want to make sure that people stay in touch with you, follow you, listen to your videos, and obviously you're welcome back on this platform at any time. And I just really appreciate you spending some time with us today and explaining this conflict from a non-mainstream media perspective. Because
Right.
what we're hearing on the mainstream media and the official story should always be interrogated.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be with you, and I've been following you for a long time. Keep up the good work. I
Thank
love your
you.
passion, your energy, your drive, your commitment to the people. Thank you so much for what you do.
That's right. That's exactly right. So thank you, brother. Yeah, and just heads up, folks. Sorry I had to have my show earlier today than 8. We're usually airing at 8 p.m. every Wednesday, but my husband planned a dinner date night for us tonight. So that's why we had to do the show much earlier today, you all. So I appreciate your flexibility. Please continue to make sure you hit the like button if you have not done that thus far. And make sure you share this. Share this in groups where people can like go back and listen to this, go back and write down and take notes, and really spread this information throughout the community, because we want to make sure people have access to this information so that they can better make decisions for themselves and their family, and they can have questions, what I mean, for their own elected representatives. So we appreciate you all for watching and being consistent. And make sure you all go over to Rumble. I will be leaving the Facebook and Twitter platform in about a month and a half. I'm trying to get as many people who are watching me to head over there. That way you'll get a notification. I will still remain on YouTube, and I will still be on Rumble. So we want to make sure that you all can continue to get access to this good information that we're trying to bring to our people. All right. So with that, we anything last words for you, Ike, you want to say before
Well, I
we wrap
think
up?
I've said everything. Thank you so much once again, and keep up the good work. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. God bless everybody. I'll see you all soon. Next week, Wednesday, same place, same time. I believe we'll have Brother Siddiqui Bakari will be our guest next week. But in the meantime, y'all enjoy. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.